filling in every available seat. If you're sitting with any kids today and their feet do not quite touch the floor of the tram, now's a good time to make sure they're sitting towards the center of the vehicle as opposed to the edges for their safety. Last but not least, you do need 3D glasses for this tour. If you do not have them, raise your hand right now. Okay, need 3D glasses here. 3D glasses here and 3D glasses in the back row too. Okay, anybody in cars 2, 3, and 4 need 3D glasses. This is your last chance to get them. No? Going once, going twice? We're good? Raise your hand in the air if you need 3D glasses. I see a hand in, oh, you're just using them. Alrighty, once again, last call for glasses, going once, twice, 3 times. I thought I saw a tiny hand, but that might have been a stretch. Like a literal somebody might have been stretching. Alright. Well, welcome aboard. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm going to be your tour guide today, which just means I'm going to be your professional yapper, yapping about what? That studio down there. Look at that. Isn't she a cutie patootie? It's one of the world's oldest, biggest, and busiest studios. And we're going to go through it right about now. But I'm not going to be the one taking you there. No, you do not want me behind the wheel, even if I were turned the right way around. You wouldn't want me driving this thing. But we do have one. We do have one of the best drivers in the biz, and his name is Miller. Everyone say hi, Miller. He's gonna make sure we get everywhere safe and sound today, and fast and furious, if you can believe it. Now, it is an active work day on the studio lot today, so we do have to be prepared. At any point, I could spontaneously go into what's called a quiet zone. All that means is that my voice is a little too loud on the microphone and could get in the way of any sound recording that's happening in the studio. But you all will be fine. You can talk quietly amongst yourselves. It's just the speakers that are a little too loud. If we go by a quiet zone, I'll pop this graphic up on the screen so you know why I probably stopped talking mid-sentence. But just so you're aware that could happen. If that happens, though, have your cameras and phones out. You never know who or what you're going to see on a real movie studio lot, right? All right, so we're going to start off with some safety rules to begin our journey together. First and foremost, if you need any sort of guest assistance, or if you have a medical emergency, if you drop something of value off of the side of the tram, or you have any sound or video issues, please reach up and grab the red emergency cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I will be back to assist you as soon as it's safe for me to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Remember that the studio is private property, so if you drop your phone, you just can't wait to use the restroom. Pull that red cord to get my attention, but do remain seated on board the tram. Last but not least, please no smoking of any kind during the tour today, and be prepared. Our tour features loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. You'll want to have your phones and cameras out for great photo opportunities, but do keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. Finally, for your safety and the safety of those around you, please refrain from using selfie sticks while on board the tram. Alrighty, there's one more person I want you to meet before we officially get started. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Fallon. Welcome aboard the world famous studio tour. I know what you're thinking, why the tux? Well, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary. That's right, 60 years of glitz, glamour, and our own great white shark. As we celebrate our diamond anniversary today, we'll pay tribute to Universal's past and take you behind the scenes to discover why this studio tour is world famous. So whether this is your first visit or your 60th, get ready for fun, excitement, and an experience like no other.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now, the studio tour is celebrating 60 years this year, which is quite a feat, but the studio itself goes back much further than that, all the way back to March 15th, 1915. That was opening day of Universal City, the world's only movie-making city, the strangest city in the world. At least that's what our founder, Carl Laemmle, called it. And when he opened the gates to Universal City, he also opened the gates for guests to come and visit the city, see movie-making magic in the flesh. It was always part of his dream, was to show off how movies get made. To your right-hand side is our fire station, part of Universal City. Now, back in the silent film era, guests could walk around from set to set, marvel at the technology involved in filmmaking. Heck, they could even sit on bleachers and watch movies be made in real time. However, as time went on, we brought sound into the moving pictures, and it was all of a sudden impossible to have guests roaming around the backlot. And it wasn't until the 1960s when we thought of a solution to this quandary. We started our studio tour, the world famous studio tour, on board the trams back on July 15th, 1964, with 2 drivers, 2 guides, and we've been going strong to this day. We've added a few more attractions over the years, some on the studio tour like the Rock Slide and the Burning House. We've also added a couple rides. I don't know if you've seen Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, Jurassic World, Water World, the Live Seaworld Spectacular. Just a couple of things. You should check out that theme park. You really should. Now, as we go down this timeline, you're seeing a few of the over 8,000 films we've been able to make in our almost 110-year history. And to your left-hand side is our first sign of the real working studio. Our oldest and largest soundstage is Soundstage 12. Here's a little peek at its own history. On your screens is what a soundstage looks like when it's not decorated for production. To your left, we have some sound stages that are loading in, so you can see their elephant doors open. Feel free to take a peek inside. Again, you never know what you're going to see. You can see what a set looks like from the outside, but on the inside, we've created any world, any room, any building you can imagine for countless different kinds of projects. A soundstage is essentially where we're going to do 80 to 90% of filming for any given project, considering the amount of control we have over our environment when we do film inside of these stages. At first, stages were constructed to be sort of barriers to the elements, places where we could concentrate our efforts when we were filming, but then when sound became invented, we began to soundproof them, and that gave us more control than we could ever imagine. These babies right now are 98% soundproof. That 2% though, it can still get to you, just like with milk. So we have to be on the lookout out here for any wigwags. Those are red lights by the pedestrian doors. If those are on, that means that they're recording with sound on the inside. And even me talking on this microphone 10 and 15 feet away can sometimes break that barrier. And we don't want to risk it. That's probably when I'll go into a quiet zone today. Now to your left-hand side, we have Soundstage 14. It's our second oldest, second largest soundstage. The soundstage we've been seeing have recently been seen in TV shows like Bel Air, which are Barry Banks and Ollie Charlton, or Superstore with Academy Award nominee America Ferrera. Bel Air you can find on Peacock. It's NBC and Universal's exclusive streaming service, and they've been working on lots of original programming, like Ted Season 2, which is coming up later in a few months, I believe. But Soundstage 14 has its own blockbuster movie history. Has anyone here seen the movie Jurassic Park? I thought so. All right, remember the scene with the Brachiosaurus sneezes on the kids. Little Timmy goes, "God bless you." That happened inside of that soundstage. Can you believe it? They made the outside inside so you could better control their animatronics and puppets with the dinosaurs. For Ron Howard's Apollo 13, the crew and cast were invited to film at NASA's Mission Control in Houston, but found the space to be too small to accommodate all their recording equipment, so they built their own version of Mission Control inside of Soundstage 14. It was one of 11 sound stages used for Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, starring Jim Carrey. They built Whoville from the ground up using all of those stages. I see a lot of people looking to your right-hand side. This is one of our haunted houses for Halloween Horror Nights, which is up for another round this weekend. That is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Legacy of Leatherface. It's a lot of syllables to say in one name. But if you're going to Halloween Horror Nights later this week, definitely check it out. It's a really fun one. Smells a lot, though. Be ready. They really up the smells this year. I see some nodding. We already know. And one more thing. Speaking of horror, that filmed at Soundstage 14, John Carpenter's The Thing. They built an Antarctic laboratory that was so cold you could see the actor's breath on camera. So you're starting to get the idea of how much control we have over these environments, right? Now, anybody can rent out any of our resources, whether it's sound stages, backlot sets, editing bays, set, prop, costume warehouses. You do not have to be affiliated with NBC or Universal, but of course we celebrate those two whenever we can. Like Universal's latest Academy Award-winning picture, Oppenheimer, which filmed right over here in Soundstage 19. Anytime they were in the Oval Office, all those scenes were filmed right there. Now to your left-hand side, don't get too excited, but we do have a celebrity sighting. It's Ted the Teddy Bear. Everyone say hi, Ted. Ted marks the beginning of our production bungalows. Now, these bungalows were originally constructed as sort of on-the-lot deluxe dressing rooms and green rooms for many contracted players back in the heyday of Hollywood. Think people like Lucille Ball, Doris Day, Rock Hudson, right? Nowadays, they are offices for many different production companies. Ted Season 2 is in pre-production right now. That means they're getting set up to begin filming in just a couple of weeks. And pre-production is a lot of what happens in these offices. We have production companies here like Illumination Entertainment, who brought you animated classics like Despicable Me, The Minions, The Secret Life of Pets, the Super Mario Brothers movie. We also have coming up Mark Platt Productions. They brought you banger after banger over the years. Legally Blonde, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, La La Land, just to name a few of my favorites. Next up is a movie I've truly waited years for. Wicked, the hit Broadway musical, is coming to the silver screen. You can see Mark Platt's production office right over here to your left-hand side. You can see their MP sign, but you can also see a little Wicked balloon defying gravity as we speak. They have an all-star cast. The movies are directed by John M. Chu, and I did say movies. There are 2 parts to this film, and the first part premieres later this year, Thanksgiving Day weekend. That's November 22nd. I, for one, cannot wait. Now, if you keep looking to your left-hand side, we're passing by 2 sound stages that right now are being used for 2 different television programs, sitcoms, if you will, situational comedies. We've all watched a lot of sitcoms in our lives, I'm sure. Some of them are family-oriented, like Lopez versus Lopez, filming in Soundstage 25, starring George Lopez and his real-life daughter, Mayan. They are entering their 3rd season, which is set to premiere on October 18th on NBC. You can catch up on the first 2 seasons. They just got added to Netflix. And right next door on Soundstage 26, we're exploring a brand new workplace sitcom. So all centering around the co-workers at St. Denis Medical. That's what the show's going to be called, starring David Alan Grier, Wendy McClendon-Covey, and Allison Tolman. This show comes from the creators of Superstore, so I, for one, cannot wait for it to premiere on November 11th on NBC. Now, the interiors of their hospital sets are being built and being used to film inside of Soundstage 26 directly to your left. But where are those exteriors located?
We're about to cross the imaginary boundary onto the back lot, where we have exterior sets for many outdoor scenes. Over the last 60 years, studio tour guests have seen these locations turned into big cities, quiet suburbs, even that guy's hometown. Yeah, that guy. For countless movies and TV shows. This is Universal's Metro Sets.
Thank you, Jimmy. Now, these Metro sets, like Jimmy said, can be anywhere in the world, any city, any town. They can also be decorated to be any time of year or any time period in history. It all depends on your set decoration. And right now, the set decoration tells me that we've arrived at St. Denis Medical. Look to your right-hand side, and you'll see the facade decorated for all the exterior shots. We have our emergency room, entrance, ambulance only, parking, all that jazz. You're getting the first look before this premieres in November. Across the street, we have Brownstone Street, used for movies like The Sting and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. But I want to take you away from the big city just for a moment into a little small-town square.
Welcome to the Courthouse Square. These sets were used to create Hill Valley in the Back to the Future films.
And they represented multiple time periods, 1985, 1955, and the far, far distant future, 2015. To this day, this is one of the most popular sets on the Universal Studio Tour.
We had a lot of fun making those films here on the lot. I wonder what it'd be like to go back to those days. If only we had a time machine.
Hey everybody, do you think we can get this tram up to 88 miles per hour? See you in the future.
To your left-hand side, you're seeing Courthouse Square, which is Hill Valley for Back to the Future. You might notice it looks a little different than it did back in 1985, and that's because that clock tower got a little bit of a disguise going on. That clock tower got so famous you could recognize it in other productions, and that's what you don't want from these sets. We want these sets to be versatile and to be able to be used over and over and over again. So the Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt was the first to put this brick facade in front of those columns. Don't worry, they're not gone. They're just in disguise. And right now it's decorated as John Hancock High School for Ted Season 2. You've also seen this very same set used as Kingston Falls in The Gremlins, used in movies like movie musicals like Bye Bye Birdie. And this area is called Courthouse Square because the steps leading up to the clock tower are the same steps used for the courthouse in To Kill a Mockingbird back in 1962. The history of a lot of these sets goes back a long, long ways. Now we're turning on to New York Street. This is our longest running street on the Backlot. And it doesn't only have to be New York. These streets have been turned into Chicago for the Blues Brothers, San Francisco in Dirty Harry, Los Angeles in Transformers. We even made these into a 1940s Brooklyn for Captain America, the First Avenger. Does everyone remember the scene when Steve Rogers, played by Chris Evans, he gets all hunkified by the super soldier serum? He's running barefoot down the street after the Hydra agent. This is in the very first Captain America movie. He did that down these streets. You can't do that in real Brooklyn. It looks way too modern. Here we're able to put appropriate picture cars on the street to help denote time period. Make sure that our street lamps and all of our facades match the time period. Buildings like this blue glass one on your right hand side would not fit in. So we covered it up with scaffolding or even a green or blue screen in this day and age. You can digitally insert any building that you want to. You've also gone further back in time. The street served as an 1800s London for Bram Stoker's Dracula. Now, how do we achieve that? Well, instead of street lights that are electrical on the streets, we took them out and filled these little squares with gas lamps. We parked horse-drawn carriages with real horses on the street instead of picture cars, right? Maybe put some dirt on the road so it doesn't look quite as paved over. Bada bing, bada boom, you're in the 1800s. It can be that easy when you use our backlot sets because these are made to be changed, adapted, decorated according to your filming needs. Now for now, we're going to take a brief break from the urban jungle, and I want to take you all on an adventure to a more fantastical jungle, one that's brought to life by director Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, but just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
All right, Skull Island can get a little bumpy. Make sure you stay seated at all times. Keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle. Now, this is one of the rare areas where if you drop something, I cannot get it back for you until the very end of the day. So please, please, please keep a tight hold on your belongings. And while we're inside, especially while we're entering Skull Island, no flash photography. It can really disturb the wildlife. All right, everyone, give it up for King Kong 360 3D. Okay, raise your hand if you got spit on by a dinosaur back there. Okay, that's actually great. Glowing by the end. Right, you've taken the studio tour before, you know. This is where you get it. Now, this attraction was brought to life by director Peter Jackson and the folks at Weta Effects. They're a New Zealand-based digital effects company, and they've worked on movies like King Kong, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. They've even worked in almost every Marvel and DC movie of the last 10 years and won Academy Awards for their work on films like Avatar and Avatar: The Way of Water with director James Cameron. They are masters at computer-generated imagery, which you also might have heard of, simply known as CGI. To your left-hand side, we're passing by our Metro sets yet again. Now, these Metro sets, like I said, they're incredibly versatile, they're adaptable, changeable, right? And it's because none of these buildings are real. I've referred to them as facades. That's what we call them. They're the fronts and sides of buildings, decorated to look like real buildings for exterior filming, while you're building the interiors of these buildings inside of sound stages, like exactly what they're doing for St. Denis Medical. That means all the bricks you see in this building, not a one of them are real. Bricks, stones, even woodwork or steel can be made out of plaster, plexiglass, fiberglass, painted and molded to look like the real thing, put up with staplers like wallpaper, so they're easy to tear down if that's not the look you want for the next production coming in. Over here, the square is called London Square. Now, we have names for all of these places, but they don't have to be those places, right? Lately, London Square was used for a brand new show from creator Mike Schur, who brought you Brooklyn Nine-Nine and The Good Place. It stars Ted Danson. He's going to play like an undercover mole at a retirement home, and this is the retirement home courtyard, right? It's called A Man on the Inside. It sounds like it's going to be pretty funny, so I can't wait to see some more information on when that's going to come out. But as we leave our Metropolitan sets, we get a really delicious smell over here as they're cooking some food for everybody who's working on The Voice, which just premiered. Oh no, what am I trying to say? Just premiered their first couple episodes, Monday and Tuesday. For the next season. To your right-hand side, we're getting a look at something we don't normally get to see on the tour. It's this incredible monster mural done by Tristan Eaton. Now, Tristan Eaton works entirely with cans of spray paint. So not one paintbrush ever touched this wall. Don't let anyone tell you that street art and graffiti isn't art, because it absolutely is. Now, these monsters we celebrate any time that we can. Halloween Horror Nights, they always get a haunted house. Next year, they're going to get a brand new theme park at Universal Studios Orlando dedicated entirely to them. And we'll talk more about what they mean for our history in just a little bit. But to your left, I'm not done talking about The Voice. We have a little mural by their soundstage as well, telling you exactly where you're going. These buses are likely bringing in not only contestants, but also live studio audiences. There might be some over there. Hi, everybody. If you'd like to become part of a live studio audience for projects like The Voice or some of our sitcoms, you can go to oneiota.com, and that's how you find out about that stuff.
Hey, studio tour. It's your boy Snoop Dogg. Did you know that the Universal Backlot is home of The Voice? That's right. We tape right here on Stage 31. Don't miss our incredible new season every Monday and Tuesday on NBC. Hello. Now that you've heard the rest, you can hear the best. Who can be with the S and have this on your chest?
Snoop joins The Voice Monday and Tuesday on NBC and Peacock.
Now, to your left, we've also passed this body of water. It's kind of hard to see now through all the shrubs, but trust me, it's there. It's called Park Lake, another filming location. You might recognize it from movie musicals like Showboat with Paul Robeson and Hattie McDaniel, or Tammy with Debbie Reynolds. You've also seen it as the home of the creature from the Black Lagoon. Now, believe it or not, our beloved Gilman is celebrating his 70th anniversary this year. This movie premiered in stunning black and white 3D in 1954, and we love to celebrate him. He's one of our most beloved monsters. He lives right across the street from the rest of our monsters, which all got their start in our Little Europe sets. Now, these little Europe sets were originally constructed in the 1920s, used for our first Academy Award-winning picture, All Quiet on the Western Front. And from the 20s to the 50s, this is where the monsters roamed free. Monsters like Frankenstein's monster, the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Invisible Man, the Wolfman, Dracula, all got their start in these city streets. Now, why are these monsters so important to us? Well, they're what got us started, or they're what put us on the map as a movie studio in the industry, helping us survive the Great Depression because we were able to use stories that were already written, novelize it in the public domain, reuse actors who were already good at their craft. But these also are the movies that started the horror genre, and they solidified us in as early as the 1920s and 30s as a genre-defining studio. And we love horror here at Universal Studios to this day. But you might notice doesn't look like a horror movie's been filmed here recently. A lot of bright colors. You might actually recognize these sets from more recent productions. A lot of royalty has been here in recent years, like Amelia Mignonette, Thermopolis Rinaldi, Princess of Genovia. She was here. And this was Genovia in The Princess Diaries too, a royal engagement played by Anne Hathaway with Dame Julie Andrews also here. This was used in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. It was the home of future pirate king Elizabeth Swann when it played Port Royale and Tortuga. Maybe you recognize it from when she counts as royalty, I'm sure. Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog, she would consider herself royalty. This is used in 2011 film The Muppets as Paris, France, and the entire Little Europe sets are used as a storybook town for the 1997 adaptation of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella, starring Whitney Houston and Brandy. Or maybe you don't recognize it from Pirates and Princesses. Maybe you recognize it better as a set of The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I have never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Okay, well, maybe it's not all that bad.
Hi there. How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
Alrighty, folks, we're heading away from The Good Place and into a metro station. Not like the band popular for the song Shake It, but you know, like public transportation, which we have right in here in Soundstage 50. Now, this is just another reminder, if you drop anything in here, I cannot get it back for you. And please no flash photography. It can cause a dangerous glare on the windshield up here. But as we're going through, this is what a set looks like when it's ready for production. So they just finished filming a ticket machine heist in here. We can see the cameras and lights pointing to the ticket machine that was busted open. We have some prop money out there. The whole cast and crew are on a break right now. We can kind of put together what happened, right? So our director, she angled her camera to there. I believe the actor ran down the stairs and went straight to the ticket machine. Okay, that was a little California tremor. Oh, right. Our tram is a little offline. Okay, you might want to hold on to something. I think it's gonna be the big one. Congratulations, everyone. You just survived an earthquake, the big one. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, you all were pros. Really, you did exactly what any native Californian would do in a real earthquake. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely nothing. Good job. I know that attraction was brought to life by the use of practical effects. So as opposed to digital virtual effects like what we saw in King Kong 360 3D, these are all effects you can see, feel, hear, and touch right in front of you. They're my favorite kinds of effects to work with. Now, at this point in the tour, we're about halfway through. I do want to remind everyone to stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Remember that the studio is private property, so if you do drop your phone, you just can't wait to use the restroom. Pull that red cord to get my attention, but do remain seated on board the tram. To your right-hand side, we're getting a brief glimpse at our Western sets, which does include a stable that actually works for storage and the storage of any equine talent that we might be housing, like horses, giraffes, what have you. We love to work with animal actors here on the lot. Sometimes it won't work. It's either unsafe for the actors or for the animal or for both. So we use CGI to animate them or make a mechanical monster. Now, one of our mechanical monsters is out on a spa day, and that's Bruce the Shark, who usually plays the part of Jaws here at our Jaws themed attraction. But as you can see, they're doing a big refurbishment here in this area, draining the entire lake, especially with attractions that are underwater. Same thing goes for like Waterworld, Jurassic World. We have to do extended downtimes like this just to make sure that things that rust faster aren't rusting too much, and everything stays safe and sound. But for now, here's a little bit about the creation of the attraction.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the tram. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was from the time it was first placed on the Universal lot. There have been tweaks, of course, over the years, but it is essentially what the designers and myself all envisioned and created.
Now, Jaws is our most famous studio tour attraction for sure, but it's not the oldest one. Let's go a little bit back in time, shall we?
Time for my favorite part of the tour, weather. When it comes to film and TV, it is truly a special effect. In fact, to demonstrate how weather effects are created, we debuted our first major attraction here on the studio tour way back in 1968.
Now, usually waiting around for rain here in Southern California is a lot like waiting for Chad Michael Murray at the end of a Cinderella story. Useless and disappointing. So we learned how to make our own rain here on the Backlot. We'll show you exactly how we do it here in our Old Mexico sets. All right, we've queued up the thunder and the lightning. Now we're just waiting for our little fall of rain, and there it is. Now this rain is brought to you by a very high-tech Hollywood device known as a sprinkler. I'm kidding, they're called rain towers, but they work just like sprinklers, shooting the water up into the air, allowing it to fall back down naturally. Now all this water here is recycled, so we can keep this effect going all day long. We've also added some thunder and lightning. The thunder is a sound effect played out of speakers. The lightning is strobe lights on the tops and sides of the building. 3 very simple effects coming together to create a perfect storm. And it looks like we might have left our perfect storm running just a little too long. We see that very same effect in the movie Big Fat Liar. This movie stars Frankie Muniz, Amanda Bynes, Paul Giamatti, and Paul Giamatti's stunt double. Stunt performers are a very important and respected part of the team, showing up in every genre you can think of for film and TV. Horror movies like Drag Me to Hell, comedy movies like Nacho Libre or The Three Amigos, sci-fi TV shows like Firefly or Star Trek Picard, all of which have filmed right here in our Old Mexico sets. Great transition, Jessica. You're welcome. Thank you. Now, to your look. If you look around you, these Old Mexico sets are also used as the town of Pariah in season 1 of Westworld on HBO. But as we continue going down the street, we're entering our own version of the Wild Wild West. And you know who the best people were? The best stunt people were? Cowboys.
You're just gonna stir things up here.
Now, not only can we make these bricks out of plaster, plexiglass. We can also make them out of rubber, foam, so that they're easier to crash into. We can make glass out of literally tightly spun sugar. We call it candy glass. It's easy to fall into, it's easy for it to break, and you have a nice snack at the end of the day for a job well done once you're done with all your stunts.
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
You see many a cowboy mosey their way down the street at one time or another, but you've also seen it in not westerns. I mean, this was used as western sets in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. You saw these sets as the Yukon in Call of the Wild, with Harrison Ford as the Australian outback in Saving Mr. Banks, and some of these sets were even used in The Color Purple, starring Whoopi Goldberg and Oprah Winfrey. Now, we call this area 6 Points because back in our silent film era, when Universal first got started, we made 6 different Western movies at the same time by using 6 different Western streets that were all right next to each other. Nowadays, we've consolidated, but we still call the area 6 Points in honor of that time. Now, all the roads in our backlot are named after influential filmmakers. We're turning off of James Stewart Avenue right now. We have different musicians, artists of all kinds honored, like Louise Beavers, Nat King Cole, Doris Day, Janet Leigh, all our roads in our backlot. But we're turning on to Steven Spielberg Drive right now. He has the longest road out of anyone on our backlot. I wonder why that is.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Gray Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. This was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom, and when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left, and then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Now, while Jaws did not film at Jaws Lake, they filmed out in the real ocean. This was used for 12 seasons of Murder, She Wrote, starring the late great Dame Angela Lansbury. Still says Cabot Cove on some of the buildings. And we're heading into a more residential area of our backlot. Now, not all of our sets are facades or shells. Some of them you can actually film inside. And when you can film inside and outside of a set, we call it a practical set. And one of our most famous is the Chicken Ranch up on the hill, built for the Best of a Whorehouse in Texas, starring Dolly Parton. It's also been seen as the Firefly House in Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. To your left, we have one of our neighborhood streets known as Elm Street. Not like Nightmare on Elm Street, though. Don't get excited. All right, not one Freddy Krueger movie ever filmed there. But Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare did film right next door on Colonial Street, which is most famous for being Wisteria Lane from Desperate Housewives.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
We call this area Colonial Street. It's also going to be called Anywhere USA because you make it into Anywhere USA. Keep your eyes to the left-hand side and I'll point out some notable houses. Coming up with this beige house here with the big balcony. This was used in Harvey with Jimmy Stewart and Academy Award-winning actress Josephine Hull. She actually won her Academy Award for her role in this film. Right next door, we have the Lilac Victorian, which once belonged to the Munsters. That was 1313 Mockingbird Lane for a number of years. And they lived next door to Devi Vishwakumar, played by Maitreyi Ramakrishnan, in every episode of Never Have I Ever on Netflix. This is where she lived in Sherman Oaks, California. They're coming up on this grayish green house with the red doors. And this backyard was used in the very last scene in the very last episode of the very last season of Superstore. As we round the cul-de-sac out here, you've seen the entire street used in TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, their Emmy Award-nominated episode Hush, where the gentleman floated down to steal the hearts out of the citizens of Sunnydale. This was Sunnydale, California for that episode. You saw this in movies like The Burbs with Tom Hanks and Carrie Fisher, Casper with Christina Ricci, or this entire place was turned into Candy Cane Lane for the movie Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy that premiered on Amazon Prime last December. If you look to your left-hand side, you'll see the house that belonged to Eddie Murphy's character. It says brown A-frame coming up on your left. It's also where Beyonce stood for her lemonade stand in her Super Bowl commercial a few months ago, and it was an Ace Hardware house for many Ace Hardware commercials. We still use this street for a lot of commercials. It's a really easy place to come and not have to disturb any residents that live on a real street. You can also decorate it to be any time period, any season of the year. You can make fall leaves or snow. In fact, this blue house right here was used for Ted, the TV series, and here's what it looked like in a Halloween episode.
Let the festivities begin.
How many we got?
Well, let's see. We got 20 cartons.
Fantastic.
Do you think we're getting too old for this?
Oh, come on, Johnny, we're doing a public service here. If a kid leaves the house in a less than stellar Halloween costume, he's got to get the bad news before he makes a fool of himself all over town. We're Samaritans.
I will have you know that's the longest appropriate clip we could find for the tour. So just be careful before you watch that with your kids. To your left-hand side, we have the Lion Estates gates, which were used to mark Marty McFly's neighborhood no matter where or when he was. These are recreations of the original props made for the 30th anniversary on the film. And we are on Wilderness Road right now. Now you look to the left and right hand side to see why it has that name, right? It's a lot easier to film out here in the middle of the backlot than it is to film in the middle of nowhere. We don't have such easy access to things like restroom, shelter, or electricity. You have all of those here. In fact, you saw this, did anyone see the movie Bird Box with Sandra Bullock? They filmed out here. Who saw that movie? Great. Okay, she didn't. She had the blindfold on the whole time, but I'm glad you guys saw it. We are about 15 minutes away from the end of the tour at this point. I do want to remind everyone to stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. We will be returning to the theme park shortly. Just pull the red cord if you need any assistance. Now, you're in Hollywood. You want to see a movie star, right? I know it's exciting. Halloween Horror Night stuff happening to your right-hand side, but I have guaranteed movie stars over here to your left. As long as you consider picture cars movie stars. They have all been in a motion picture or two, so they count. We have an original glamour tram from 1964 over there. This driver's here from Jurassic World. They added the glass in digitally after the fact, so they wouldn't have to deal with the camera people's reflections. Those vehicles from the Flintstones have no engines. They were pulled across set, but we have supercharged engines in the Fast and Furious vehicles right next to them. And last but not least, we have a couple Transformers rounding out our fleet here, Bumblebee and Barricade. Now, as we turn the corner, this is probably our most unique attraction here at Universal Studios Hollywood for Halloween Horror Nights, and it is the Terror Tram. The tram will actually drive you here, drop you off, where you get to walk through a haunted house that's built within some of our most iconic horror sets, like the Bates Motel. Now, normally the Bates Motel is 12 rooms and 12 vacancies, but this year looks like Blumhouse Productions is threatening to move in, as they are the theme for Terror Tram this year, which means you can see characters from movies like Happy Death Day, Freaky, The Purge, The Black Phone, and Megan. Now, as you approach or continue going up the psychopath, we might be approaching one as we speak. Oh yes, looks like Norman Bates is home. Everyone say hi. Hi, Norman. How's it going? We just want to say hi real quick. We're such big fans, really, truly. Big fans. Don't worry, y'all. Don't worry. He pulled out the knife, but we're going to escape from one nightmare directly into another, from Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho into Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
The airplane crash set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steve
first sit down to talk about War of the Worlds, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right on a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see. You don't do it.
So to your left-hand side, that's a real Boeing 747 that was destroyed for production. Now, it wasn't destroyed on purpose. They bought it from an airplane graveyard, and in order to get it here, they had to load it onto a fleet of flatbed trucks. So chop it to 4 pieces. Then they had to chop the tops off just so it would fit under the freeway overpasses to get here in the middle of the night. But once they got it here, it was good. It looked amazing, and they left it that way. Actually, they left it empty. So Tom Cruise, Dakota Fanning, they're out here looking at this plane completely decimated, completely destroyed. No idea what happened to the people because not one passenger, flight attendant, or pilot is left just the wreckage. So you're left wondering for about 40 minutes of the film what happened to the people on that plane, along with the characters. Kind of leaves you in a sort of suspense to not have all of the information. So your mind is just kind of trying to fill in that missing piece with your imagination the entire film long. Now, War of the Worlds is an alien invasion story dating back to 1898 when the novel was first published by H.G. Wells. But our alien adventures on the Backlot are far from over, as we're about to enter the real sets of Jupiter's Claim from Jordan Peele's Nope.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Juke Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Show. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? Well, a little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy, gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. It is smack dab in the center of a UFO hotspot. Welcome to the world of no.
Okay, these are the original sets for Jupiter's Claim. I think the UFO hotspot, still active. I'm pretty sure, but everyone's okay, right? We're chilling. I do, however, think it's time for us to get out Candyman and go to the next part of the tour. Now, okay, we're getting an emergency transmission. We're going to move into Sullivan's truck repair. Okay, that's fine. We're just going to check on the tram, make sure it didn't sustain any damage after the alien, what have you, right? The alien encounter. Except somebody is trying to commandeer my tram. Hello, dude, you can't do that.
Look, this might be more serious than I thought.
What are you talking about?
This is a secure lot.
No, this is the studio tour? Who are you?
I'll tell you who I am, boy. I'm the reason bad guys use a nightlight. I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason you just lost control of this whole operation. My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. And as of 16.9 seconds ago, I'm the man in charge.
The hell you are.
Let me clue you in on two things, sweet cheeks. One, there's a high-value witness from the Federal Protection Program aboard your vehicle. And two, an international crime syndicate led by Owen Shaw is honing in on this vehicle to take that witness out. Shaw's as ruthless as they come. He'll stop at nothing to eliminate his target. Every living soul on this vehicle is in serious danger. Other than that, enjoy the ride.
This is not your jurisdiction.
It is now, Stink Pickle.
I'm so tired of you stink guys stepping in. Just whatever you feel like.
Sure.
That's right. We're moving your vehicle to a safe location until we have the situation under control. Until then, I want everybody to stay calm. Enjoy the ride. Taking care of business.
Alrighty, folks, we're heading into the safe house right now. This is your reminder to stay seated, hold on to your belongings, no flash photography. We're going to wait for the FBI and, oh, okay, here they are. Do whatever they say.
This is what we're doing. This is the race day after party. And the where the other?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move.
Bill?
That's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Ladies, just back up a little bit. Got it. It's lightweight. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. Cop, I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours.
Escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.
You got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back. It was on vibrate. Shaw traced us. Ops kept holding forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real interesting. Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door. Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
Okay, everyone. Looks like Owen Shaw did find us. That's fine. We got this. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna go face to face, tramp to whatever vehicle he's driving, and everything's gonna be peachy keen. You know what you want to do? Put on your 3D glasses. They're a great disguise, and they're about 0.7% bulletproof, so that should be helpful. And hold on tight, just in case things in here. I mean, I hate to say it, just in case they get a little fast. Or even a little furious.
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now or you all get fried!
This is our turn.
After them!
Okay, guys, it's showtime!
Did y'all hear that? You're part of the family now. Good job. Now, did everyone have a good time on the studio tour? All right, we're heading back to the theme park. Take us home, Jimmy.
Over the past 6 decades, the studio tour is taking guests on an amazing behind-the-scenes look at a movie studio in a way that only Universal can. I hope that you had a great time today, and on behalf of everyone at NBC Universal, thank you for joining us to celebrate our diamond anniversary. Here's to another 60 years.
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you all of you for joining us for the world-famous studio tour's 60th anniversary. Whether you plan to or not, we thank you anyway for joining us. Who knew that two glamour tramps traveling around the studio lot in the summer of 1964 would transform into so much more? We have 7 theme parks now all over the world, and going strong ever since that day. I want to thank any annual pass members who might be on board. Thank you so much for coming back again and again. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. You know better than anyone how unique the studio tour can be every single time that you visit us. Don't forget to download that Universal Studios Hollywood app for the rest of your visit today. It's going to have our park hours, a digital park map. You can mobile order food, get show times, ride wait times, all that jazz, all in that app. Make sure it's Hollywood, not Orlando, before you connect to your power-up band for Super Nintendo World as well. And if you're like me and you think about the studio tour all the way home and you want to take a little bit of it home with you, you can visit uphe.com. That's where we have all the titles we mentioned on the tour available for download. So make sure you check that out. Stands for Universal Pictures Home Entertainment, in case that's easier for you to remember. But for now, we'll continue to celebrate 60 years of the tour.
About Universal Studios Tour. They have sets, stuntmen, action, special effects,
Well, we're now leaving
stars.
entering our backlot. This is known as Colonial Street.
You do meet the strangest people on the tour.
I've been on that tour so many times since I was a kid, and I just love it every time.
The first time I ever went on the Universal lot, we did the tour.
I grew up in Los Angeles, and that was like the place to go and see Jaws.
I got my introduction to Universal Studios through the tour, and so then to be in the movies and seeing the trams drive by, it's very overwhelming.
One of the coolest things actually about shooting for Universal is sometimes you get to shoot on the lot, and then you look over and it's like there's Jaws, or like there's the flash flood, and all those trams are riding around. It's the coolest thing ever.
1979. Back then, tram drivers were kind of a little reckless and crazy. There was no restriction on cars going anyway. We used to drive all over and kind of duel with them back and forth.
I have so many amazing memories of the lot when we were shooting Back to the Future.
Being here brings me back in time, I'll tell you that.
The tram would come through, the tourists would see Michael J. Fox, and they're taking their camera, snap, snap, snap. So one day, Michael J. Fox had his own camera, and every time the tourists came through snapping their pictures, he ran out and he started taking pictures of them.
Now, every good movie has a great soundtrack, including a good end credit song, but for the tour, we couldn't decide on just one.
Time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
What do you have in here?
Alright guys, listen to some blues riff and beat. Watch me for the changes and try and keep up, okay?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. She did all written down the rain. She know that and she does things you know you make me wanna.
Oh my gosh, look at her butt. Oh my gosh, look at her butt.
All right, everyone, we're heading back to the theme park. And everyone, please join me in a big round of applause for our driver, Miller. Not only did he drive us through 400 acres of studio lot, but also triggered all the special effects you saw on the tour today. And once again, my name is Jessica, and I've been your tour guide. I hope you had a wonderful time on the tour, and I hope you have an even better day here at Universal Studios Hollywood. And if you're big Blumhouse fans, don't worry, we didn't forget them. Freddie Fazbear and the gang are right there to take a picture with you. Make sure you turn in your 3D glasses. Thank your studio tour ambassador team. Wait for the tram to come to a full complete stop and gates to open on the left-hand side before you exit. Once again, I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll see you in the movies, and as they say here in Hollywood, that's a wrap. Bye, everyone.